Oops. Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I hope you all are having a great day. I forgot to put my mic on, so give me one moment. There we go. So, it is the Demetra K Show. I hope you're having a great day. It is Wealth Wednesdays with Walter, and he is going to be sitting with us for hopefully about an hour, 15 minutes. I know when Walter get into it, he gets into it, right? He's like when you look in the dictionary under CPT, you're gonna see Walter Lee. But anyway, we are going to be talking about the Feds raising the interest rates today and what that means for us in the Black community. Is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Like, what's going on here, right? So, of course, Walter is going to talk to us also about a lot of layoffs that's been taking place and exactly how the wealth gap in America, as far as Black people, got that way. He sent me some interesting videos this week. And it really pretty much told how the wealth gap happened. And a lot of people really don't know all the institutions that are and were complicit in bridging that big giant wealth gap. So, of course, we're going to talk about that. And of course, I want to say hello and thank you to YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers, but you are participants. We read your comments, questions, and concerns because we feel like you should be heard as well. And in fact, you guys are the co-host. You're the third co-host. So thank y'all for being here. And before I get into what I have to say, Walter, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm scared as hell financially, but beside that, I'm doing good. I'm scared than a black man at a Klan meeting.
Oh my damn. Well, that's pretty scary.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm the
All
black.
right. So okay. Well, so what do we have on here? We have Rain Love. How you doing? Eli. How you doing? Moni in the middle. What's going on with you from Detroit? And Pariahs, how you doing? Long time no see. And Rain says, really loved your videos today, Demetra. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. And Mimi, how are you doing? Who else came on here? All right. And so let me go ahead and get into it. As I said, I will read you guys' comments. So, okay. Maybe you are aware that the Federal Reserve, the central bank, raised the interest rates today, and they raised it 0.75% or 75 basis points, if you will. So they call it a couple different things. Now, originally they were only supposed they were trying to raise it 50 basis points, but that didn't happen. They actually raised it to 75 basis points. Now, they did raise rather the interest rates to bring down inflation, basically try to slow down consumer spending so that everything can catch up. Also, inflation is over 2%, and they're trying to get it down to 2% or below. Now, the things that are affected by the interest rate hike is credit cards, cars, car loans, home loans, stock market, crypto. If you guys own any cryptocurrency, wow, you've seen Bitcoin go to about 20,000 or so. Now at its peak, I guess it was about 60,000, maybe, sometime last year. So that's a huge, huge drop. In fact, the crypto market is going through such a down spiral that, crypto.com, I think, Coinbase, actually, it's Coinbase. They had to lay people off. Now, Coinbase is an app that you can trade cryptocurrency on, and so they had to lay people off. And a real estate firm, I forget the name of it, Redfin, I think it is, they laid off a bunch of people, Tesla, and
Redfin, Zillow.
Mhm.
It's a wrap. It's too late. It's done. This is just the beginning. This shit is about to get nasty. Watch.
And it also says it affects airlines. So if you're trying to take a trip somewhere, you will see airline tickets spike. Of course, you guys know what's going on with oil and gas. If you were in California, you're probably seeing your gas to about $10, depending on where you live. Now, they're attributing that to the war in Ukraine against, with Russia, and that Russia has basically cut us off from the oil supply. But, that's what they say anyway, why gas is high. Of course, you guys know. They're also citing demand or supply rather in the food chain and things like that is also affected and going to be affected even more. And so they said that we are going to be going through this probably for the next 2 to 3 years as they try to correct it, but they won't know if this hike as far as the interest rate will work for another couple of months or so. Now, they did say that the labor market is strong, but the employee supply is weak because people are not really going back to work like they want them to. Actually, they even have what they call the Great Resignation, where a lot of people are just leaving their jobs for something else, or maybe they're going to try to figure it out on their own. And so, yeah, food, housing, and transportation is going to get a lot worse. So if you think it's bad now, just wait for it, right? And so, as always, as we say, when America catches a cold, Black people catch a flu, right? It gets really worse for us. And so Walter is going to get into some specifics as to how it will affect us as Black people. And he's also going to talk to us about the wealth gap. So if you guys have any questions, we would love to answer your questions. And yes, the whole COVID thing, the pandemic, is they're also citing that as to the beginning of, they're not really calling it a recession yet, although many people will say it looks like a recession to me, right? Because they're also saying this is the worst inflation has been in the last 40 years since that of the Carter administration. Now, I'm old enough to remember the lines at the gas station around the block where you can only go get gas on certain days. Like if your license plate number was an even or odd, you can only go on certain days. And so they said we are back to inflation being as bad as it was in 1980. And so, Walter, with all that I said, and I'm sure I could have said a lot more, what say you?
Well, I don't. Normally, we kind of that's my son. That's not Shock G. Shock D from Digital Underground. These kids. So normally we come on here, we talk strategies, but I think right now what we need to reiterate is the coming wave. I want you to imagine standing on the beach, you and your family, and you have your back turned, and you turn around and there's a 20-foot wave over your head. That is where we are right now. When you see people in Wall Street start getting nervous, wealthy people start getting nervous, you know we got a problem. See, most of us in the United States are just la, 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 la. I ain't going to work. I ain't going to hustle. I ain't going to save. I ain't going to invest. I ain't going to get dirty. I'm just going to wait for my rights to come around. Those days are like, first of all, those days are never here, but those people are going to get washed out first. Because now you have people at Tesla, Redfin, you have all these professional jobs. Like when a company lays off, who was it yesterday that laid off 18 miles, 18 Coinbase laid off 18% of their people. Like imagine Walmart and Target laying off 20% of their people. Can you imagine? So it's just, you have Coinbase, you have Redfin, you have Zillow, you have all these companies, Tesla, and these are big bellwethers laying off people. Those people are coming for your jobs. Because if I got a guy that worked at Tesla and he's a coder and he can do all these things and he's willing to do your job and you showing up late, you got something to say all the goddamn time, I'm letting you go and I'm bringing in this dude. And that's the way that it should be. So, right, the problem is, and I can't believe we're still talking about this shit in 2022. Like Black people, we are a separate entity when it comes to money. How are we still talking about this shit? Didn't you say Black people we're number 2 in wealth in the United States?
We're number 8. And so Black people in America see about $1.3 trillion a year. So that's collectively with all the money that we make. Unfortunately, we only keep, from what they're saying, about 97%. We only keep 3% of that, giving away 97%. So yeah, if we were to keep it, then we would make up the 8th wealthiest country in the world as Black people here in America.
Okay, here's what you guys need to do. Like, if you're not saving 5 to 10% of the money you make, you deserve to be flushed down the toilet. Period. If I was like, when this mic is off and me and my son and I'm talking to D, like my one pet peeve, and I've been one of those people that didn't save and I blew money, I get it. But like sooner or later, you grow out of that shit. Do not tell me that you can't save 10% of your money or 3%. Like, seriously, you take me, somebody 30 years old, right? Okay. Add 22 years to that. Even then, right now, if I was broke as Homie the Clown and I took $200 a month, I can you like seriously, like I can sell 10 of these candles. Lit.com, LYT dot, what is it? .1 coming to you. I can sell 10 of these candles for $20 and take that 200 and invest it every month. So for those of you that don't have the money, go out and make it.
So let's get back to this. And for you guys, if y'all have a question, and this is kind of something new we're doing here, if you have a question, put like some question marks in front of your question, or put question and then a dash, then your question. So I know absolutely we need to get to that. And like I said, I want to highlight everybody's comment, but specifically if you have a question that we want to, you want us to address, or a comment, just kind of make that obvious, like, hey, I want y'all to answer this question. But let's back it up a little bit. So you were talking, and you actually sent me a couple of videos this week talking about the wealth gap here in America between Black people and everybody else. So the wealth gap is something that wasn't necessarily due to us, right? Like, we might be contributing to it now, but the wealth gap came from that of slavery and Jim Crow and all of that, really them denying us reparations. Now, originally, we were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule. After slavery, 1865 is when it ended. General Sherman, with Special Field Orders 15, said that slaves or ex-slaves should get 40 acres and a mule, and he designated the coastal areas of Georgia and South Carolina for us, which is where you get the Gullah Geechee, who are still there, kind of barely, because they're doing gentrification really bad in those areas. And so that didn't happen. In fact, they gave that money and land to white people. So the slave owners, they said, well, you know, you lost your product, which was slaves, so we're going to go ahead and give you the reparations. And so also that labor that our people, our ancestors who were slaves, that unpaid labor, they put that into the calculation for the wealth gap. And it said it's like $42 trillion in today's dollars, as to what they would owe the slaves back then if they were paid, right? So $42 trillion just from that slave labor, right? And I'm sure it's a lot more. So of course, you guys know there's redlining, and there's institutional and systemic racism. And, you know, you go to the banks because you're Black, you might get denied a loan simply because you're Black. We've heard about Black people getting their houses, appraised. And the appraiser, because they're a racist, will appraise the house. It was one case where I think the lady's house, they appraised it $200 and something thousand lower than it originally was. And then she had her white friends stand in as her and her husband, and they actually valued the house at about $200,000 more. So they got caught doing that to them. Of course, you know, we don't own as much land or real estate as we used to after slavery, you know, like during Black Wall Street and all that. And it is said that at least 100 Black Wall Streets happened where white people, the KKK, white supremacy, really went into those Black towns and destroyed them out of jealousy, and was mad that they were making money and thriving when they didn't want them to, because remember, they lost their labor, which were the slaves, and so they had to do it for themselves, and they weren't really doing that well, and so they destroyed those towns. So that added to the wealth gap. And so as it stands now, it is said that the average white family sees about $171,000 in wealth on average, and Black families realize about $17,000 in wealth. So that's a huge wealth gap. And it is also said that it will take us about 232 years to catch up to that of the wealth of white people without reparations and a whole bunch of restorative measures to help us catch up. And so, Walter, when you hear all of that, now, of course, we want to add into now that we as Black people have been conditioned to give away 97% of our money. Well, for one, we don't really have a whole lot of things of our own to spend the money on. And so we'll go outside and, you know, to other people and spend money with them. And then in our neighborhoods, because Dr. Claude Anderson says we don't have communities, because a community is a thriving entity that does business with each other. We have businesses, and it's a conducive entity, right? And so we really just have neighborhoods. And so other people like your Asians, your whites and Arabs and all those people, they come set up shop in our neighborhood and we give our money to them. Also, it is said that our dollar only circulates 6 hours opposed to that on the high end with Asians and Jews. They're circulate between 20 to 30 days. So there's a whole lot of things that contribute to that wealth gap. But Walter, what do you have to say about that?
Okay, I'm gonna say a bunch of shit real quick. First of all, there's this cool rap group. One of my favorite rappers was CL Smooth and Pete Rock. Remember that? When we reminisce over you, my God. So when I'm watching this wealth gap thing, which we can do nothing about, one thing that they talk about is Black people like to reminisce over pain. So now I sent D these videos on the wealth gap because this is the shit I'm doing at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. as I'm studying. I'm trying to get psychologically ready for this financial warfare. But all the things that happen to us, like if you look at like even like Oxford, right? Oxford College, they did this whole thing where, you know, all the colleges, like if you look at like, for instance, we had Queen Elizabeth, her coronation or whatever, and they have these videos that show that most of those castles, the abbeys and those places, they made their money in slavery, like period. So what they used to do is they used to do mortgage, like they used to do plantation mortgages, but they weren't based on the physical home. The mortgages were on the slaves. So each slave traded for about $1,000, right? So which was like 4 billion and now 4 trillion. So what happens is, and this was all the banks, JP Morgan, Chase, Manhattan, Wells Fargo, B of A, all the banks that used to loan mortgages to the United States, and then the slave labor, they would use that slave labor, make that money, and then they would send that money back to the English banks. That's why England is so powerful. You have all those big, massive mansions in Oxford and Cambridge, like the Guild. I'm saying it wrong, but in England, which is one of the most prestigious halls in England, built their foundation on slavery. As a matter of fact, the only bank I know is Lloyd's of London that paid reparation. The problem is, and this is where I wanted to make my point about reminiscing, is they gave it to the Black organizations. Leave that, you can leave that comment up, I'll get to it. They gave it to the Black organizations and the money is fucking gone. So they gave it to Black Lives Matter and they bought homes in the Bahamas. We got all these Negroes walking around. Stop giving these Negroes money. They're not doing shit. Where in the fuck is all the Black Lives Matter money? Because far as corporate America is concerned and Lloyd's of London, is we wrote you niggas a check. Y'all need to go get your check from the people we gave it to. So at sooner or later, we need to stop reminiscing over the past. If we really want to do something, we start saving our shit. And then we go to these banks and say, we're going to pull our shit out of your bank. Every person that you have harmed, we're going to pull our money out and we're going to put it in this bank. But that bank needs to be ready. We don't put it in a bank that's not ready. And that's the problem with us, is we don't have enough places to put the money. Because I think if there was some really like Coulter Capital, like the sound of that, there was some really good banks out there that we could take our money to, I think we would move. I would move my money, right? I think a lot of us would. But the problem is we don't have somewhere to put it. So we have to stop swinging low and reminiscing over the past because it's not doing stuff for us. Now, start from scratch, right? No more going backwards. There's nothing we could do except pull our money and then say, hey, we have money. Now we want this. Now we want, but without money, they don't have to listen. So here's what I would do right now with the way the world is going. Interest rates have gone up, right? So those of you who waited too long to buy real estate, you're screwed. Period. There's nothing else to say, right? But what you can do is you can switch gears. Like the regular interest rates are at 6% on their way to 7%. I mean, most of us can't buy the house we could have bought a year ago based on today's rate. But what they are doing right now is they're doing what's called a 40-year mortgage. They're creating it right now, a 40-year mortgage, and they have what's called an adjustable interest rate mortgage. This is a repeat from 2000. We had the adjustable rate mortgages. So the rates are 6, 7, but now you can get an adjustable rate for 3 or 4, and that's going to adjust in 5 years. That is what most of us, so I hope you guys are listening, because I'm giving you the real shit. This is what I'm doing. I'm still buying property, but I'm using an adjustable rate mortgage. So let's say my rate is now 4%, and I have 5 years before my rate adjusts. That means I have 5 years to save the difference between 4% and 7%, save that interest and put it in my pocket. The problem is we don't put it in our pocket. So like in 2000s, we had the negative AM mortgages. Remember the mortgage crisis? They said instead of paying $2,000, you can pay $1,000. But what do? Go get boats, Louis, Gucci, and all that stuff. Instead of taking that $1,000 and stacking it every month, because for 5 years, if you take $1,000 and you stack it, that's 60 grand. So if your interest rate adjusts, then that 60 grand you could use to buy businesses and do things to make up the difference in the interest rate. Does that make sense? That's all you got to do. And for those of you that have credit, use it, damn it, or you're going to lose it. Because now what banks are starting to do is if you have credit and you're not using it, they're taking it. They're giving it to people that are actually going to use it. You understand? Because banks can only give out so much credit. So if you have a $10,000 credit card and you're not using it, but they have, Juan Lewis over here that's using it, they're going to give it to him and take it from you. And some of you are already seeing that. I got a letter from my care credit was like, hey, we're going to cut your line if you don't use it. So I went out and did something with my care credit line. If you have credit and you're not using it, pity to you. You are killing the race. You are fucking up the curve, period. Some of you guys believe in Jesus Christ, but don't even follow the word in the Bible. Like it talks about money, and I'm not going to preach on you, but I'm saying it talks about money. Some of you call yourselves Christians and you're not even following that. Why would you go to church every week and you're not going to even do it? You'd be better drinking beer and watching football. Does that make sense? So it is up to us. And here's what I would do. Write this shit down. Rates, you're going to need to go to adjustable rate mortgages. That's it. The Geechee, I remember that from the soldier story, Geechee. But it was Peterson saw. But you're going to have to take that money, take these adjustable rate mortgages and use them. That's how I'm buying my next property in Texas. I'm going to use an adjustable rate mortgage, which means I'm not paying 7. Yeah, I'm going to pay 4, and I have 5 years. So I have this ticking timing bomb, but I got 5 years to save the difference. Does that make sense? That's what you do right now. And you go out and don't go to Texas, don't go to Houston area because that's where I'm at, right? Actually, there's enough for all of us. Go find you a raggedy apartment building in the 5th ward, the 3rd ward, or one of these neighborhoods that what they do, and here's the strategy. I was on the seminar, and this is a brother, and he said, go to the black neighborhoods and buy real estate and wait for the whites to show up and drive up the price. It is called gentrification strategy. There's 33 signs that your neighborhood is being gentrification. People walking dogs, people on dog parks, yoga, all kinds of stuff. Coffee shops that aren't Starbucks showing into the neighborhood. There's all these things that are showing up to let people know that neighborhoods are being, and there's a whole strategy. So basically what they're saying is the black man is so dumb. They're sitting on all this real estate. They're not going to do shit. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy with them and wait for their mamas to die, wait for them that shit to happen to them like they always do. And boom, the real estate, they're going to sell it to us and cheap. Because black people, you have no excuse. This whole we don't have shit is not true. We, even with all the bombings of Wall Streets, the 100 that they blew up, and all the shit, the Klan and everything, and rolling with the Democrats for all these years, we still have a shit ton of property. But what are you doing with it? Your mom got a house that's paid off, and you won't even have a conversation with her like, yo, mom, your house is worth 300 grand. The bank will give us 150. You don't have a mortgage, and we can take that 150 and buy an apartment building, and we can put a down payment or buy a whole house in the hood, and we can fix it and rent it, and that money we'll get for the rest of our life. And you don't have a mortgage. That is so basic. Like if my mom was alive, that's what I would do. Yo, mom, your house is worth $500,000. We're going to take $250. We're going to buy a couple houses and they're going to pay us. And you don't have a mortgage. When you die, we'll pay off the $250 from your house. And we will then get to keep the rest of the equity. This is rich people shit. If you know anybody in your family that owns real estate, first of all, if they have equity, that equity is starting to slide. It's disappearing.
Address this question because I mean, how you doing, Ricky? And hello to everybody that came on here, Mona, Tay Tay, and who else? A whole bunch of other people, and I'll say hello to you when I see your name again. But I mean, Ricky does have a point. He says fixed rate, guarantee, adjustable rates got many caught up in the housing bubble crash, and we know that that was disproportionately us as Black people that got those balloon payments on the houses and things like that. Of course, we know that the stated loans was a big thing. Now the stated loan was, state how much you're making. Even though you were going to Taco Bell, you could say you were making $150,000 a year, which you didn't really have to back it up with a stated loan, right? Like a traditional loan, you got to bring your income tax returns and your pay stubs and all that kind of stuff to kind of really show that you are making that money. But back then, people got loans with the houses with stated loans, and they got caught up in the balloon payment. So speak to that, and is that a possibility with what you're saying now with the adjustable rate mortgages?
First of all, nobody got caught up in the bubble. That's 100% bullshit. No one got caught up because those adjustable rate loans they gave to white people, they gave to Mexicans. Every race took those loans. And okay, I remember.
Let me interject this here. We know that for a fact. And sorry that I kept getting up, y'all. I didn't feel my air really working, and so I panicked, right? So I don't know if it's just because it's too hot and it's not really working, but it's like, oh my God.
I mean, menopause truly comes around, good vibrations about 50.
I can't tell if it's menopause or what, right? So, but let's stop right there. I'm gonna challenge you a little bit on that. You stupid. I'm gonna challenge you a little bit on that. And how you doing, Lois? So you saying this man is not being honest? Well, is it an issue of him not being honest, or is it a different way of looking at things? And I will say, and I forget to give you guys Walter's credentials. Walter is almost 30 years in the game as far as financial advising. He has advised a whole host of people, from everyday people all the way up to celebrities and athletes. When it comes to financial literacy, Walter is among the best to ever do it. And so it's not an issue of being honest or dishonest. A lot of times we just have different ways of looking at things, and that's how we learn, right? Which is why I'm about to give him a little pushback here, Lois. So bear with me here.
I understand where you're going with the pushback. You can push, we can pull, we can pop it.
All right, but check this out,
what I said.
Right, but we need to also interject the issue of predatory lending. That was a proven fact that Black people were preyed upon by lenders in regards to giving us these balloon payments and, doing these stated loans, because they were trying to pad their pockets. It had nothing to do with us. And in fact, in 2008, when the housing market crash took place, Black people lost even more wealth due to losing real estate. So what do you say about that?
That is true. But how many times can we use predatory lending as an excuse? In the 60s, I can see, okay, the 50s, okay, they got us. In the 60s, they got us. In the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s, 2010, they got us. How many times do we fall? We cannot use predatory lending as an excuse anymore. Because we know better. You know who was giving out those shitty loans? United Funding. It was owned by a brother. And I went to one of his meetings, and they were charging Black people 10, 12% for mortgages.
We also know it was Countrywide, who was no longer here anymore.
Countrywide,
they're crooks. Huh?
Countrywide, they're crooks. And he was prosecuted for that.
Right. He was. But how many other bank CEOs and presidents and all that, how many of them were actually prosecuted for doing that?
Not many, because they write the rules. But here's the thing.
But the Negro was, though, right?
No, some people went to jail, but here's what we're not dealing with.
Can you count them on 5 hands that went to jail behind that?
But see, that's the position you want to be in. You want to be making the rules. You want to be, if me and Eddie Murphy and Naomi Campbell are sitting on the throne, right? We got Michael Jackson down there dancing. Why would I go down there with the peasants when I can sit on the throne? Wouldn't it make more sense? Bugs Bunny said, if you can't beat them, join them. We are not going to change the way it is. It's going to be worse for Black people right now. It's going to be 10 times worse.
So I get all of that, but I'm saying, and I'm just giving a little pushback because I know how your mind works. And so Walter is a genius at just about everything that he does. And so I understand where he's going with that. But just to kind of really break it down, I think we do need to, add that we've always been preyed upon. And yeah, by having some financial literacy would help us. But if the cards are stacked against you on the other side, so when I say the other side, like these financial institutions, then how would you really know? Especially if they are purposely preying upon you as a Black person. And it's still going on to this day. And so I get what you're saying, but I think we also need to tell, that side of the story.
That side has been told.
Yeah, because a lot of times we get into, victim blaming, I think, just a little bit.
Yeah, fuck that. It's too late for that. We know they're coming for us. It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. It's like if you're a Black man, you walk into a Mexican girl's home, her father gonna be like, oh shit. It's not a surprise. We cannot keep walking into the same party and hearing the same music and oh shit, I didn't practice. We already know. What up, Bev? We already know what's gonna happen. You guys, okay, let's spend the next hour complaining about the white man in the past and predatory lending. What the fuck is that going to do for us? Zero. And what we need to stop doing, and I'm going to give it to you straight. I don't give a fuck if you like me or not. Because I wake my Black ass up at 4:30 in the morning, and at midnight, I'm falling asleep on my desk because I'm afraid of what is happening. We need to be afraid, and we need to act that way. And here's what we need to do. Put this on a shirt, is we need to stop predatory buying. That's what the problem is. Because the adjustable rate mortgages, I know a bunch of people and a bunch of brothers that use those adjustable rate mortgages and collected wealth and got rich doing it. So when the rates adjusted, they had one of my boys, some gangster shit. This is borderline illegal. He stopped paying on his house. So he took out this adjustable rate. And when everybody stopped paying, he stopped paying. He went 3 years without paying his mortgage. And he took all that cash and stacked it. And then the bank short sold his home. And then he had his mama buy the house for half. And he had all this hundreds of thousands of dollars that he stacked. And he's still in the same multi-million-dollar home. What's the difference between this Black dude and the Black dude that got caught up in the bubble? Because we were all in the bubble. I was in the bubble. We're in the bubble right now. I'm telling you, go out and get an adjustable rate mortgage and then you save the difference. So if your 4% adjustable rate mortgage is $1,000 and your regular 7% middle class, go out with the dummies, rate is 7, or let's say that payment is $2,000, save the $1,000 in the middle for 5 years and you stack it. Do you understand with $60,000, you can put a 10% down payment on a $600,000 duplex in the hood and you're done. Like seriously, you don't have to, you go out and buy a 4-duplex unit in the hood somewhere and you got 4 people paying you rents while you wait for the gentrification, because it is coming. You're done. So gentrification is coming.
It's here.
I mean, let me shut my mouth. Let's move to the next subject. Let me answer some of these comments because I think more aggressively than most people. I make people get irritated when I speak about this because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And there's no variables. That's bullshit too. Because if me and my sister can survive, so can you. There's no variables in this shit. We can do it like anyone else. The problem is we as Black people spend too much time and energy in our self-esteem shit. We got to have the Louis. We got to have the lack. Oh, she drove it off the lot with no mileage. We buy into that shit. Black people, we're the only people that do that to each other. I roll up in a Toyota Corolla. I'm in a suit. I get up. I pull up to a Black party and I'm the laughing stock. I'm the joke. I remember hanging out with a bunch of celebrities at Robert De Niro's restaurant, Ago, in LA, and I pull up in my wife's Toyota Sequoia, and one of the NFL dudes was like, yo, what the fuck? I thought you was managing money. I'm like, dude, that's a brand new car. It's a $50,000 car. Like, what are you talking about? You want the financial planner to be up in the Ferrari? Whose money do you think he's doing that with? I make 200 grand a year. That's not Ferrari money. Do you know what I'm saying? So many of you guys get beat, killed. Like when I took over Kanye's West account, the reason he came to me, because his manager, Sean Larkin, beat him. And the Black Eyed Peas and Rihanna, they all got beat by their business managers because they were out flossing. So we do it to ourselves. It's the predatory buying. When Black people say, yo, we built this place. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go to the West Indies, like Jamaica and all those areas, like when you look at, like, we have populated the whole planet. We built things. They still think about this. What other race has been persecuted the way that we have? Not like we're going to kill 6 million Jews and we're going to and move on. Like continually people come after us and still survive. Do you know what I'm saying? And you guys, financial institutions, they do interact with Black people the way they do with white people. When me and my sons walk into Wells Fargo, hey, Walter, they take my money. I got credit cards with them, lines of credits. They treat me like everybody else. Now, the problem is when you get up to the upper, like with the CEOs of the banks, yeah, they don't want to loan Black people money. But how many of you guys hanging out with the CEO of Wells Fargo?
Well, not many of us, but I think this is why I'm
Get your ass off check systems. First of all, that will help.
Well, and I think, and I'm gonna push back. I got y'all. I ain't gonna let them get away with some of this stuff. I think too. We also, let's just keep it real. Yeah, if you got a little, and I used to be a personal banker, so I do know, something about banking, right? Now, unless you got a lot of money where you're going into the private client room where, you don't mingle with the rest of the people with a regular blue Chase card or whatever. Yeah, they're going to treat you, like you're somebody. But average people, and let's just, keep it real, average Black people, oftentimes we don't get that star treatment, if you will. Hell, I remember one time, Walter, I went to go cash a check. You wrote me. It was a rather large check at Bank of America a couple years ago. I'm standing in line, and I had an afro, which, I'm wearing my afro, whatever. I get up to the window, and the banker, she was taking her time, and then she goes to get her manager, and you know what they came up and said to me? You remember, because they have to call you. Oh, this check is forged. This doesn't look like the regular signature. And I said, well, how do you know that the check is forged? And I said, I used to be a personal banker, and I know you're supposed to verify that this check is actually forged by calling the person who owns this bank account before you accuse me of, forging a check. So they ended up calling you and they verified it. Oh, we're sorry, this, that, and the other. But so I didn't, hardly say or do anything other than I want to cash this check. So we do know that for Black people in a lot of these banking institutions, racism is a huge problem. I mean, I have stories for days of racism happening to me in banks, and I don't, I'm an average person, if you will. So I think for us to say that it doesn't happen, I think that now that is just a little dishonest.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It happens to me. When I go to, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It does. Of course it does. What I'm saying is, first of all, I go to cash a check as a Black man, they have to legally cash that check. They may sweat me, or I'm gonna go. I still get that shit when I go to other institutions. I understand they see Black people a certain way. The way that we see ourselves, they see us the same way. So they treat us the way we treat ourselves. And those institutions were built on slavery. What point do you think they're gonna love it when we walk in and try and do? I understand that stuff is there, but does it mean you can't function?
No, I mean, of course, it doesn't mean we cannot function, but I think that, we really do need to. And you got people agreeing with you as well. And I think these are the people.
They should be. Everybody should be agreeing with my Black ass because I'm keeping it real.
But I guess what I'm saying is, we do know for a fact in the Pioneer how you do it, baby. So Wells Fargo, man, I heard those people were crooks. Didn't they shut that bank down a few times? But they shut them down. But they did get a lot of lawsuits, for a whole bunch of stuff, opening up fake bank accounts and racism, especially in regards to the mortgage crisis. So yeah, Wells Fargo is complicit in that as well.
They are complicit. But you know
Yeah.
what happens when Wells Fargo, they were in all that shit. Remember what we were doing? Telling everybody to buy the stock options. Wells Fargo, they got crushed when they were opening up accounts for people. And we told everybody, go out and invest in Wells Fargo, because when this people forget, and they did, their stock prices through the roof. Wells Fargo, of course they're crooks. If you guys understood what Wall Street and banking did with money, first of all, if we did any of that, we would be in jail. They're all crooks. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Jamie Dimon, these guys are all crooks. What up, cool? They sit around and they sit around and have fine wine and fillets and truffle butter, and they scheme this shit. You guys, I'm gonna say it. And I've told the story before. When I was at American Express, I would sit there with these people, these rich white dudes, and they would just ha 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 ha. And I remember being in this club with all these old white men, lawyers, just CPAs, and they let me in because one of the dudes died. That's how old they were. And so I'm sitting there with 20 of these old white men and me, this young black dude, I must have been 30 something. And I'm just taking notes. And one of the dudes is like, what the fuck are you doing? I go, dude, people need to hear this. And one of them made a slight joke about black people, he was like, they don't want it. They don't want this information. Like at American Express, we went on a campaign to hire black people and women. My brother got a job at Amex. They were on a campaign to hire black people and women. And one of my bosses goes, Walter, what the fuck do we have to do to get black people in the door? We're hiring black people. They hire my boys, all my boys. They even gave my brother a job, and he walked in off the street. Remember Jeremiah worked at American Express?
And two of your friends?
They hired my boys who had nothing to do with fighting. They hired my barber and shit. They were just hiring everybody. But at the end of the day, we dropped the ball. You understand what I'm saying?
Question?
Huh?
Can you answer this question?
Well, declining home, what prices offset? I don't know. That's going to depend on the government. See, here's the thing, you guys. First of all, we are in an election year, which seems like we are always in an election year. So right now, the Democrats are like, we are against the wall. So they're more likely to do some heart program or they're like, we're already willing to take a hit financially. So we're willing to put the government into destruction. So what we'll do is maybe everybody that's behind on the mortgage, we'll give them a break. We'll let them, refinance and put their stuff on the back. But sooner or later, we'll catch up to you. If you refinance your mortgage and you put the shit on the back, that is sooner or later is going to catch you, right? Unless you lost your job and something happened, right? But most of you guys that fall behind in your bills you're still at work, you didn't lose your job. It's just your predatory buying. You guys, I'm serious. And listen, I'm speaking from experience. I don't know everybody, but I tell my black friends all the time, like, yo, you can't do that. Like one of my boys bought a brand new S. I was like, nigga, are you losing your mind? Like, how can you do that? How would you spend $100,000 on a car and you don't have 2 or 3 million sitting in the bank? Like your wife is still working. How do you drive a $100,000 car and you still making your wife work? I got in his ass. We're not friends no more. But what I said was still true. We need to take every time we get paid, we put it somewhere, right? The stock market is going to pay off tremendously for those of you that listen. I'm telling you, I made a fortune. Don't tell my ex. And it's too late now. It's too late. It's in the past. And it's my son in the back. Sorry, I forgot he was sitting there. He know I'm right. But listen to this. In 2000, the stock market crashed. Remember the 2000 bubble? And the market did what it did in 2008, did what it did in 2000. Sorry, it did what it did in 2019. It went boom. And we were buying stock options, right? So right now we have the perfect storm. Real estate already going down because you see price reductions. The stock market is down. Inflation is through the roof, where a piece of meat is now double in price. I paid $7 for a pomegranate last week, which is never
I
before.
left that damn pomegranate on the shelf or wherever it was.
Well, pomegranates right now mean something to me, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I got you.
So I have to eat certain foods, but I was like, damn, $7. In Australia, they're paying $6 for cucumbers.
Shit.
So sooner or later, all this is going to collapse.
We got a question here for you.
What's that? Oh, I'm telling you right now, what I would do, gold is good. So gold works in crazy markets because what happens is people run from cash, they go to gold. But right now, cash is paying, the 2-year note is paying over 3%. That is a historical, that is a super high rate. Like getting 3% on a 2-year bond, the 10% is paying just almost, you know what I'm saying? The rates are almost inverted. The 2 and the 10 are paying almost the same thing. So cash is strong right now. Does that make sense? Yes, I am. Sorry, I get worked up. But so
watch your mouth.
Yeah, you guys don't focus on that because I know you guys have YouTube channels and TikTok and they be cussing too. So miss me with that shit.
Well, if we could, just unseason it a little bit.
No, we can unseason it, but you know what? You guys, we have to be angry about this stuff. You guys, this is it for us. I'm telling you. Like, we voted for Joe Biden, and what did we get? Absolutely nothing. Zero. And it is a good time to buy real estate. I didn't say buy a house. Welcome to the show, by the way. I said to go out and buy investment real estate. I don't recommend anybody. Yeah, they let me in the room because I was suited and booted, and I walked in the room like I owned something.
Well, tell them how you got the job in the first place. Like, what did you do how did you even know about the job?
I answered an ad. I was selling life insurance, and the company, they owed me like 30 grand, and I got a message saying we're on a houseboat, the company is closed, we can't reach us. They left a message and jumped on the boat. I was like, all right. So, and then I started selling insurance for someone else, and then I started delivering pizzas. I had all these jobs because I had 4 kids. And so I'm sitting there one night, and I answered an ad at American. It said Financial Advisors American Express. And I remember I told 2 of my boys, one texted me today, matter of fact. I was like, yo, I'm getting this job at American Express, and they're gonna hire me. I'm gonna make 100 grand. And both of my boys start laughing. Like, they use the N-word. Man, they're not gonna hire your black ass. I left them both sitting at Denny's that night. They'll tell you, I got in the car and bounced. I got the job. I called, and they hired me. And a few years later, I met Kanye West, and boom, the rest is history. But the point I'm making is I was delivering pizzas.
But
and they hired me.
You're also delivering pizzas, and you knocked on the door of the vice president of American Express for the region or whatever it was?
Yeah, so the other crazy part is when I got the job, they go, oh, we like you. Your charisma is through the roof. We're just going to give you the job. You don't have to meet Bruce. I'm delivering the pizza 2 or 3 nights later, and I knock on this huge house. It's on the 6872 Chartwell. I still remember it. It's my old boss's house. And I knocked on his door, and I'm giving him the pizza. And I'm like, this is a nice house. What are you doing to protect it? If something happens to you, do you get to keep it? And he goes, the pizza man is giving me financial advice. And he started laughing. I go, what's your name? He goes, Bruce. I said, Bruce, I'm Walter. And he goes, like, the dude we just hired? I said, oh, you're Bruce. Like, you're my boss. So he always told that story. But the point I'm making, I was delivering pizzas, and I just went for it. All they could do is tell me no. I learned so much from them. And yes, when I went to the meetings, I was one of 3 or 4 black people in a room of 600.
Answer this question here.
Should I invest in the market right now? Here's what I would do. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, and you can go from there. This is not advised. Right now, Netflix came from 600 to 1 something. And I moved money to my stock market account today, and I said I wasn't going to get involved in it, but it's just too good. You know what I'm saying? So Netflix went from 600 to 100 and something. Coinbase went from 350 to 50. Walmart, Target are down. Amazon is down to $100 a share after the split adjusted price. all these companies, Salesforce, these bellwether companies these solid companies are trading at all-time lows. So what I'm telling everybody to do, and you pick your own stock. Oh yeah, that's funny.
And you got a lot of people talk about some seasoning. That's what Reggie said. Put some seasoning on it.
Yes, I got to put some Lowry's on it. Is right now I'm looking at Netflix. I'm looking at all these companies that are down, the Target, the Walmarts, and I'm looking at buying their stock options. So right now Netflix is at 100 something. What's that? Oh, Netflix is at 100 and something. Oh Lord, yeah, we need a bumper. Netflix is at 100 and something. What if it went back to 300 and you had 10,000 stock options? These stock options are 50 cents. So you can buy some of these stock options for 1 penny. You guys listen to me. You can go to E-Trade right now, type in Netflix, look at stock options and see that Netflix stock options for $300, $400, $500 are like pennies. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let's say if you bought an option for 5 cents and you bought 10,000 of those, how much money is that? $500. For $500, you can control 10,000 shares of Netflix. If Netflix gets back, and maybe they won't get back to $500. But do you realize if you own stock options while Netflix is at 160 or whatever it is, and it gets to 300, and you have stock options at 350 that you paid 5 cents for, you are going to be loaded. $10,000 times $10 is $100 grand. That's how I made my money in 2000. It's what me and my sister did during the pandemic.
I mean, 2020?
No, I did it in 2001, but we did it in 2000 and 2020. Even my sister Amanda, who has not bought stocks before, bought Tesla. She bought Tesla and was like, oh shit. And then they did a stock split. And I remember she invested hundreds. I'm talking, she bought like 2 shares of Tesla when they were trading at like $400 or $500. They did a reverse split. No, they did a split. So she owns 10 shares of Tesla that was at $1,000. So how do you take $800 and turn it into $10,000 in 2 years? She was watching the show like you guys are. And we would be on at 5, 6 in the morning. We'd be on a group chat. What are we buying now? And then my sister and mine started sending us stocks, and we were making money together. That's what we need to be doing right now. Netflix, I love it because it went from 6 to 100. I love DocuSign. DocuSign, people are already used to signing things online. You mean to tell me DocuSign is disappearing? This is a bellwether company that's down to like 70, 80, something crazy. Salesforce, these big companies. Do you really think Amazon is going away? Do you really think Amazon is going to disappear?
Nah, Amazon going to be thriving forever. It's never going to go away. Can you answer this question?
Yeah, what's the capital of 2022 we made this year? I don't understand the question.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. Mona, if you can kind of fill that out a little bit, we would love to answer it.
Because we is a lot of us. So you mean like we in my house or we as a people?
And Grace and Peace, how you doing? He says, I could have let go of 100. I could let go of 100 to invest. How do I invest it? So I hope Walter answered that a minute ago when he was naming off a couple of things. Again, we're not giving
it again. I'm going to answer it my own way.
I just want to say we're not giving advice, just, what we would do type of thing.
Okay, first of all, $100, if you don't let go of $100, you're not letting go. You are moving it, investing it for your future. And you guys, $100 is not enough. You need hundreds. If you make $2,000 a month, $200-$300 goes to your future. And if you got people say, oh, I can't afford to invest, that is a lie. If you got something in the way, cut it out. Or get a side hustle, get a job. Every time I move my hand over here, I almost burn myself like the Joan of Arc. That's a side hustle. I got both of my sons standing. One's a hostage. Standing in here, I'm trying to teach him business. Don't go through the pictures.
Pioneer, I'm gonna whoop you. Look at this doggone comment.
Grace and peace. Well, if we can afford to let go of one of your best investments would be lottery tickets. Actually, you know what? That is good advice. That's probably what I would do. I mean, shit, that's your odds are better of getting rich buying lottery tickets. And I mean, here's what I'm saying. Invest, if you're gonna let go of $100, do it twice a week. And people will say, I don't make enough money. That is zero excuse. No excuse. If you don't make enough money and you can talk, I always ask people, can you speak? Can you talk? Can you pick up a phone? Actually, you don't even have to pick up a phone. When we leave this podcast, I have on my computers, or well, somebody shut on my tabs. I'm gonna deal with them later. I had 20 Alibaba tabs open. Everything in my house that I buy, I go to Alibaba now and see what the price is. You guys, you can do this. It's a lot of work. Yes, to sit online and talk to Chinese people all night. It is time consuming. We did it last night, me and my assistant upstairs in the Philippines on Fiverr. Do you know what I'm saying? And you guys don't get sensitive here. Nobody is dumb, because if we were talking to dumb people, I wouldn't be here. That would make me dumb for talking to dumb people. Nobody on here is dumb.
I think what he's saying is this you is more palatable.
Well, you know, my father is Muslim. I went to the temple, and the way those ministers talk to those brothers in those meetings is not even remotely the way I'm talking to people.
And sidebar. I'm reading this book by Brother Nuri Muhammad, A Well-Made Man, and you know, Brother Nuri Muhammad don't hold any punches at all. This is a book that he wrote for men, but he said us women could read it too, so we can understand the type of, I guess, man we should be looking at and all of that. But yeah, he don't hold no punches at all. I'm like, ew.
Black men, we have dropped the ball. Pick it up. When I was in the junior FOI, right, the Fruit of Islam, and my father, he sent me down to this basement. And we would be down there. Muhammad got the devil on the run. And that was like our cadence. Left feast, boom, and I would turn. I was bad. And we were watching this drill team at this other temple. And brother said, left feast. And one of the brothers turned right. And one of the ministers said, we should cut his head off and boil his body in oil. And I was like, whoa, I remember that to this day. He goes, we don't have room for mistakes. We don't have time to make mistakes. And from that moment, I was like, I understood. And my father was like, that's right. And my father's the same way. He's nicer now that he's gotten older, and maybe that will happen to me.
Not really. He called me at 5 o'clock this morning, my time. I want to talk to you about a show that you did last night.
Oh, yeah. He's called me 3 times in the last 2 days. I do need to call him back. But
yeah, he did mention that. He said, don't let him catch you out in the streets for not calling him back.
He called me at 6 in the morning. I just went to bed. But here's the difference between stocks and bonds. A stock is what you own. You own ownership. You own a piece of something. A bond is a debt. So like the government issues bonds. They're basically borrowing money from us, and they're paying us an interest rate. Those are bonds. A stock means you own it. So I can own, let's say, what's a good company right now? Okay, Netflix. I own Netflix. I buy the shares. I own a piece of Netflix. So every time I hear my TV go doom doom, I go, that's my company. If you own tax liens, yes, I'll come back to that. If you own Netflix, every time somebody signs up for Netflix, you have potential to make money. If you own the debt of Netflix, Netflix borrows money from you in the form of a bond, and they just pay you an interest rate. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm doing is I'm like, my cars, I'm liquidating. I don't have cars like, I'm talking about the business. The cars, I'm liquidating those. I'm selling my house in Texas. I'm trying to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars right now. and take some of that money, and that was called dollar cost averaging. You take that money and you move it into the market slowly. So, because right now, come on, give me a break. You cannot start talking to my sons. They like beat me up over here. Is the stock market is going down. And then what we have sometimes is what's called a bull trap, where the market will go up, but then go back down. So we get fooled by these fake bull markets. We're going to have some of those. So if you dollar cost average, which means you put in money on a consistent basis, you might invest in Netflix and it may go down after you invest it, and it may go down again. But as it's going down and you keep buying it, you're buying it at a lower price. And so the lower it goes, the more you own. And then when it all goes up, boom. Now there's steak with the beans and rice. Actually, you shouldn't eat rice. It'll kill you.
Did you answer this question about the tax liens?
Tax liens, I think they're good ideas. Here's why I don't invest in them. Because there's so much energy. Like, you go to these tax lien seminars and most people do it wrong. As a matter of fact, our last real estate thing that we got involved tax liens. So because you go to these seminars and they tell you to go out and buy tax liens. And then what you have to do is you wait for these people. So you don't buy a tax lien and you get their house because they owe $300 or $1,000 in tax. When you buy a tax lien, you're loaning the taxpayer money. And then they're using that money to pay the taxes, and then the taxpayer has to pay you back. If the taxpayer forecloses, then you will then have the ability to buy the house. But what happens is a lot of these homes are owned by banks. So the bank comes in and buys the house, so you don't get the buy-in. Tax liens work if they are free and clear. You pay their taxes, and these taxes, this is years. This isn't a 2-year deal. This is years of paying their taxes, and then sooner or later they will foreclose on them for tax liens. So those work, but it's one of those things, waiting for the water to boil. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, waiting for the one day. It's a good long-term investment, but it's not going to help you now. Does that make sense? So I'm telling you what to do right now. Take your credit and put it to work. Otherwise, they're going to take it. If you're sitting on here and you got credit cards, and I don't care what the interest rate is, if the interest rate is 20% and you could take and go make 40%, you still keep 20 and you give B of A 20, those slave trading, slave building folks over there, you give them 20. And then, I wish we could, Lady Ace. Actually, let me come back to that. You give them 20 and you keep the 20% spread. Does that make sense? So both of my sons are here. One of my son, Miles, he's out of retirement. And then my son, Evan, is here. We bought a BMW for $3,500. It's in the garage. That's the picture they showed me to see if the bumper's ready. The bumper is $200. That's what my son was like, yo, should I go get it? I was like, yeah, go get the bumper. Boom, we're in that car, $4,000. Do you know that a lady has already given me $1,000 deposit on the car? She's coming tonight to give us $6,000.
Speaking of that, we do need to.
Yeah, you need to get the bumper. Okay, give me a sec. So the point I'm making is, and I'm not a rocket science, neither of us are, we just took the risk. So we can get this car ready for $4,000 and sell it for $6,000. That's 50% on our money, not in 1 year, but in 3-4 days. So if I borrowed money at 100% interest, but I made 50% in 3-4 days, and I could do that 10 times a year, and I can make 400% a year, but Wells Fargo's getting 100%, who's winning, them or me? Actually, we both are. But people get too stuck up on interest rates, and that's why the middle class is getting their asses kicked. Oh, the rates are high. I don't care what the interest rate is. If I buy an investment property and the interest rate is 12%, like my lake house, my interest rate is 12% on my mortgage. It's a hard money loan. It's a shitty loan. But in June, it paid me $7,000. My mortgage payment is like $1,800. My sister's making money on the house. She cleans it. Lord have mercy. We talk about her fees on another show.
I mean, I'm just saying, I come with years of experience, and when I leave out of there, it's ding, ding. It's very clean in there, so you get top-notch service.
The point I'm making is that highest interest rate is paying my bills and paying some of these bills. And the rate is through the roof.
And let me tell y'all something. I don't talk about it often, but I got 2 degrees, but I don't have no problem using elbow grease to make some money if I need to. If whatever it is, and I'm talking about legal now. I ain't talking about I'm going to do anything for $1, but I don't mind cleaning, especially if it's my brother's investment property. I don't have a problem doing that, as he said. He does pay me for my time, and my daughter goes with me, and she gets paid for her time as well. And she also has a degree, but where there's money, we gonna be there to make it. And so he's going to come back to answer some of y'all questions. I hope that you guys are learning something. And if you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And that's what Wealth Wednesdays is about, learning different ways of making money. And we learn from y'all as well, because I see a whole bunch of y'all throwing in strategies and things that you guys are doing to make money. But, the fact of the matter is, we know that those who take risks are the ones that make the money, right? Like, I'll be honest with you, my brother's always on my case because I'm one of those safe investors, right? Like, I'm like, let me think about it. Because, I like to keep my good credit and, all that kind of stuff. But I'm learning to take a little bit more risk, because I do not want to be working until I'm 90 years old, or end up being a people greeter at Walmart. And yes, I would be a grumpy people greeter at Walmart. So I don't want to have to do that. So yes, I'm going to have to take some risk. So one of the things that I want to do is buy some investment properties. And I would like to, I'm in Houston, go to the 5th or the 3rd ward and buy some of those houses and use them as rental properties, and rent them out to our people for a reasonable price. I'm not looking to make stupid amounts of money, because the unfortunate part is white people and everybody else will and are going into our neighborhoods, and they are buying those properties, and they're going to boost up the price, and then the neighborhood is going to be unaffordable for our people. So that's one of the things that I am going to be doing. In addition, I need to buy my own house, because I'm renting here now, and I'm paying $1,600 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, which is not bad. I'm from California, so this ain't nothing. But for Texas, Houston, Texas, I guess it is. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's still reasonable. But yeah, so I'm learning to take risks. So I don't sit up here like, oh yeah, I'm out there and I'm just taking all these risks. I'm jumping out all these airplanes with no parachutes. No, I'm not doing that. I'm with you guys, trying to really just get used to trusting the process, so I can also make a little bit more money. So Walter, back to these questions.
There's no trust. I don't trust the banks. I don't trust my preachers. I don't trust nobody. That's why I take so many risks. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, let's be honest. If we're waiting to trust the system, how can we trust the system? We know the system is against us. If Jay-Z, here's the thing I worried about with my boy Kanye West. He said he was going to buy Universal, and everybody laughed. Universal, $6 billion. This brother is worth $4 billion. He's $2 billion away. For Kanye West, that is 2 years away from buying Universal. I worry about him because, every time we try and buy something big, here come the sex tapes or whatever. He touched me funny. Oh, that's $2 billion. You know what I'm saying? But even if he stopped at $4 billion, he's still doing well. But he took risk. Yes, I know Kanye personally. I watched this dude take risk. When he wrote Jesus Walks, I remember standing, me and him, in his living room next to his closet. He was putting his coat away. And I was like, dude, I love Jesus Saves. He's like, no, nigga, it's Jesus Walks. And I remember that moment. And I remember they wanted him to give the song to Jay-Z. He goes, no, I'm keeping this album, keeping these songs for me. He took the risk, and he is the number one, the richest, the most successful entertainer in history. Black dude in his 40s from Chicago that took a risk in music, took a risk in fashion. I remember years ago, everybody was clowning him. Kanye's broke, he's in debt, Everybody was piling on this bankruptcy bandwagon. And the dude is, boom, now he's out. He's running Louis Vuitton and Balenciaga. Both of those are on the deal table for him to run if he chooses to. You know what Kanye West did? He took risk. We need to take risk. That's how you do it. I'm sorry, you guys, you're not going to be able to trust the system. If the system is against you, the system, Asians do not trust the system, which is why they have their own banks. You drive to LA from here, and it's East-West Bank. Asians have a whole shopping centers. You can't even read the signs. They're all, like most people will like try and make it English. These Asian businesses, the signs aren't even in English.
It's like that out here. I can't remember, I'm still learning Houston, but there's an area in Houston where it's nothing but Asians. And to your point, it's like, I wouldn't even know what kind of business it is, you know, just driving down the street reading. And it's like blocks and blocks and blocks of this, right? And I'm like, I've only been over there a couple times, but I'm like, damn, that is amazing. Like what they're basically saying is we don't need y'all money. We are a well-functioning oiled machine amongst ourselves, and we only care that we can read it, right?
That is my point. They don't trust the system. They built their own system. Here's the crazy part is, because if you look at most Asians, they are direct descendants of ours. If you've been to the Philippines, those are black people like 100%. And you get into a dance contest with a Filipino, it's a wrap for you, homie. You're done. You know who taught me my recent hip hop songs? My Filipino chick, my friend. She's like, oh, you ain't up on this? The point I'm making is
you are old too, so.
I mean, okay, I'm old, but a lot of them, like if you go to Thailand, the Philippines, Laos, those are black people mixed with Asians. Period. So they have our blood in them. If you look at Chinese, at their old soldiers that they keep hidden in the dungeons, those are black people. The first Chinese soldiers were black Africans. Look at the president of China. Look at his nose. That's a black dude painted Asian color.
What the hell is Asian color?
They are us. We need to take who we are and use it. And we only start by putting money away. All this other shit you're talking about, rights and walks and marches, and it ain't happening. It's fantasy. So those comments we could just leave for another show. Let's talk money. So here's what you do. Where do you get the money from? Your mama, your uncle, your aunts. You call them all and you say, we are starting a business. Not only do I need an investment, I need your help. Does that make sense? My son Miles is here. We did a couple things and he's like, oh, I got money, I'm loaded. I'm like, no, you're not. You need to get to work. So my son invested in my car business and he is here right now in the garage working this business. Do you understand what I'm saying? He called me one day. He's like, Dad, what do you need? I said, money. Of course. I always need money, right? Because with your money, instead of having 15 cars, we can have 20. And then he called me again. What do you need? I said, I need your help. I need you here. I need you helping me run this shit. So now he's here helping me run it. You understand what I'm saying? So I asked for his help. And yes, the Asians got reparations, but they did it from a position of power. Well, back in the days, the Japanese, they got reparations. And that's pretty fucked up. I don't have an answer for that. I don't have an answer for why they got reparations. Here's a code. It's just
the Japanese got reparations for the internment camps that they were placed in during World War, was it I, where D-Day happened over, was it Pearl Harbor or was it before? Actually, it was before that. I want to say, oh gosh, in the early 1900s.
That was like they were going through like the coronavirus right now, the way the Asians are being treated.
Right.
For coronavirus, the Japanese are being blamed for some of the wars.
So it wasn't D-Day.
So, and I took a bunch of notes. I do want to get to them. You guys, the wealth gap is going to keep getting bigger. Because now you got black people going, oh my God, one day we're going to get reparations. And that is not true. And even when these banks, they give reparations, they don't give them to us, they give them to our black leaders.
Leaders, misleadership.
What does Jesse Jackson do for a living?
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. There's money in hope. I hope Jesse give them the money.
He's a hope dealer.
Yeah, I own that, by the way, the hopedealer.com feature. But you can buy websites. Seriously, you guys can go to GoDaddy right now and you can buy domain names.
I have a few.
I bought IamBarackObama.org, IamBarackObama.net. I own this brother's name. I own D's name still own WLCoulter. I'll sell it to you for a small fee.
You don't own Demetri K though, boo boo.
I don't own Demetri K, but when you decide to go buy D, I got it.
Who calls me D? Who calls me D but you, huh?
Right? So if you go to GoDaddy, all the domains you bought in the past, they show you what they're worth. Some of those are $1,000, $1,200, $600. They were $9.99 when I bought them. So you guys, there's money everywhere, but you just have to pull the trigger. Right now, get your credit, go to everybody you know and say, hey, we want to invest. We want to buy something. Start by walking, like you have to walk the neighborhoods and, my man, do you know who owns this house? Oh, so-and-so's mama owns it. She ain't been here in 60 years where it's just empty. Hey, how do I get a hold of your mama? We want to buy your house.
Yes, I remember doing that not too long ago.
Right? The house we bought in Texas, me and Miles, I remember we went knocking, talking to all the neighbors. Who owns this house? Who owns that house? Who owns this house? We just walked the neighborhood. We got to get out and we got to start accumulating. You can buy a $300,000 duplex with 3% down with FHA. You can buy a $400,000 triplex, or in Texas, you can buy a fourplex for $300,000. 3% down. That's $9,000 to own 4 doors. And there are programs, they slow as hell, but they will give you the down payment. And if you have a credit card where you can pull 10 grand off of and you can buy this fourplex with $9,000 down through FHA, why wouldn't you pull the money off the credit card and buy this house? I don't understand. Right now, I'm looking for property. Every time I go to Texas, me and my real estate agent, we scour, we go look, me and her spend the day. My son is married. We go out, we have lunch, and she takes me, we go looking at properties. And I'm with her 2 or 3 hours a day when I'm there. Because I know I have to go out and touch and feel. So she goes, Walter, do you have the money for this property? I go, if I don't have it, I know where to get it. I have friends who have cash. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm looking at this comment. I want to kind of come at it maybe not so abrupt, but you guys, I want to stick on topic. Right now, I'm talking about what to do. Do you understand what I'm saying? Those guys on YouTube, they're making money from YouTube. If you have a YouTube channel with 500,000 subscribers, your bills, well, how do they say, my needs are met. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know shit about foreign exchange. I can only talk about stuff I know. Most people don't know. People that are in foreign exchange don't know about foreign exchange. Because once in a while, I get one of these people that say, oh my God, my homeboy Tony started a Forex exchange network marketing group. Or my homeboy over here started a Bitcoin blockchain business. And everybody runs in and then it gets blown up and they're sitting there with no cash. So the point I'm making, you guys, is invest in things that you know. You know, like Cleveland, Ohio. Please send me, Lady Ace, give her please, like you can go to Walter Lee Coulter on Facebook. You can find me through her. Hit me up. I want to
also
go.
put your email in the description box so people can reach out to you.
I mean, and only email if you're ready to pull the trigger. I'm not answering no questions.
And by trigger, he means figuratively, not seriously.
I mean, like, if you're gonna reach out to me, let's be ready to go. I don't care about this and dreams. When we talk, it's where do we pull the trigger? That's what I want to talk to you. I want to go to Ohio. One of my boys is in Ohio. This little white kid named Joey I hang out with. He had sat in my kitchen years ago, and I made them dinner. Him and his friend. He was like, "Walter, I don't know what to do." This dude is not even 23, and he's on his 5th property. And he took my advice. And I'm like, do you know that I sit here and do this with people all day, and you're doing it? He's in Ohio right now, working on his house. I want to go to Ohio. Please hit me up. I don't know shit about Ohio. I'll probably get robbed. I don't know. But I want to go. You understand what I'm saying? I want to go to South Carolina. Some of you guys that live in these communities where they're abandoned homes and they're just sitting there, or you see investments, let's go buy those. You guys, I'm telling you, man, 5 years from now, if you do not do this, Black people, we're going to be renters for life. Do you understand that hedge funds buy 1 in 4 properties? These are the same banks you guys say you don't trust. 1 in 4 homes are bought by hedge funds. And you know where the hedge funds get the money from? Where Wall Street gets the money from? From you. Your 401k at work is going to Wall Street, and they are buying the houses that you refuse to buy. And when the real estate prices go down, your 401k goes down. Wall Street borrows money from you, and they buy 1 in 4 homes with your money. When it doesn't work out, your 401k takes a dip. Why don't you just, there's a rapper that just say, why don't you, never mind. I was trying to make the middleman joke clean. I can't do it. Why don't you just kill the middleman and you do it? I'm telling you guys, it's scary as hell to buy something and pray that it works out. It's scary, but don't you like being scared? Like when you go to like a roller coaster ride, what is it that thrills you the most? It's that moment right before you drop. So we enjoy the thrill. There's nothing like, you guys, everybody on this podcast can buy a piece of real estate. I don't care what position if you are living in your car, you can knock on some doors, talk to some of your people and say, hey, let's get together. I was going to say kill Barney. Let's get together and buy this house. I had too many kids. Let's get together and get this money. Start out small. Every time I go to Texas, I go and I look at properties. They don't always work out. I spent $2,000 last time on plane tickets and contingency and inspection fees. And did they work out? No. But am I bitching about the $2,000 I spent? Or am I happy that at $2,000 I was able to take another class in real estate? See, you have to also block people out. When I bought my lake house, I can think of 5 to 10 people that told me not to do it. One sitting behind me. Matter of fact, my son told me not to buy the property. Me and him flipped. Actually, no, I think you were cool with that one. He told me not to do the show. Not this show, because my sister, but the other show. But those things have panned out. The point I'm making is, and these are kids, so I don't expect them to be like, yo, here I come, let's do it. But like we have adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that are like, yo, don't do it. Do it anyways. Like, dude, you saw that lake house. It's shithole. Surrounded by honkies. I mean, like, down. Our neighborhood has a Confederate flag. I moved into that neighborhood. My next door neighbor has a Confederate flag.
Ah, my God.
I was like, F these people. This, at one point, and I remember D and Deanna like dropping me off, and one of my other clients, Erica, she was like, oh, we got to go. She like took off. I'll meet you across the street.
Yeah, I mean, because me and my daughter, when we found the house, but as we're driving through the neighborhood, I was like, okay, there's a Trump flag over there. And those neighbors, they got a Confederate flag on their porch. So, okay, I don't know about this neighborhood, but here's a house nevertheless.
We bought that house. We borrowed money. We got a loan. We bought the house. And I tell you, those neighbors will not leave my black ass alone. I got my neighbor with the Confederate flag on my Ring camera taking out my trash yesterday. Tuesdays and Fridays, she takes my trash out from my house twice a week. Do you seen her?
Peggy.
Peggy, my Confederate flag, white, hang the Mexicans neighbor is taking out my trash.
And now she's doing the Airbnb and she took her flag down.
She sure did. Because I had dinner with them. We were at the campfire. And I couldn't help but thinking like nigger roasting, Mississippi burning.
I was about to say, because that's where my mind went. Like,
but I said to both of them, I said, you know what? The flag is insulting. And her husband goes, it's Southern pride. It has nothing to do with slavery. Obviously, you're here. We love blacks. I was like, okay, you don't love blacks, but I hear you. They took the flag down. The flag is gone. Do you understand what I'm saying? And now she's doing an Airbnb, and they want to partner with me in their Airbnb. The point I'm making, you guys, is I went to that neighborhood. I took the risk. I remember my sister cussing me out on the war zone, telling me not to take my ass over there. Fuck these people. At what point, why do we need to be, they not afraid to walk into Bob and Lily with their dog to walk into the hood of LA and buy a duplex. One of my clients, my insurance clients, her and her husband bought a duplex in this all black neighborhood. I said, you're not worried? She goes, Walter, these people are so nice to us. She's talking about you black people.
oh,
When they say you people, you know what they talk about. She's like, they're so nice. And I said, you know what? You're right. I am in more danger walking through a black neighborhood than you are. Because they won't fuck with white people. They'll fuck with their own. That's how we do each other. Do you understand what I'm saying? She bought this duplex for $400,000 in LA at the 10 in like Washington. That's a $2 million duplex right now. And it was surrounded by black people. She goes, we feel safe here. So if she can walk into, and by the way, her neighbor, she lived in one duplex. She bought it through FHA. She lived in the next door and they paid her whole mortgage. She goes, Walter, I'm living here for free. Now she's in a $2 million crib. Are you telling me we can't walk into a white neighborhood and buy a house? Like, are you kidding me? Black people, we have every excuse in the book not to do shit. I'm telling you what to do. Go buy the raggediest house in 5th Ward and just hold it. You, Pookie, whoever, you get the people in the hood that ain't doing shit, and you guys work on this house yourself. Screw the bank. You take your ass to Home Depot, you put wood and stuff in the car screws, and you do it. And you hold on to it. So when the neighborhood gets gentrified, you have this house that is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars more than you paid for it. That you can do. Matter of fact, there are programs that will loan you the money. So we're not talking about Forex and cryptocurrency and all the stuff we don't understand. We're talking about wood and steel. Number one. Number two, this shit just makes so much sense to me. It blows my mind that people are so damn scared. Buy stocks. Let's say you have $1,000. You can buy $1,000 and put in E-Trade, and you can buy a stock. Let's say you buy Netflix. I'm not giving you a recommendation. I'm saying this is some of the stuff that I'm doing. I can buy Netflix, and then they will give me a 50% loan against my Netflix stock that I can use to buy more stock. Or I can buy, like with ExxonMobil, the dividend in ExxonMobil was like 8% during the pandemic. So you buy ExxonMobil that was trading at $50. It was paying an 8% dividend, and you bought it at 50. Now it's at 100 or whatever it is. You're still getting the 8% dividend, and you have doubled your money. And you could have borrowed money against ExxonMobil to invest in stock options. Are you kidding me? My E-Trade account doesn't go, oh, is that a nigga trying to buy Netflix? No. Fuck the bank. Go to E-Trade. Robinhood guy. I don't even know if Robinhood is going to exist in a couple months, right? But Robinhood is what, $7 from 70? Do you think Robinhood's going to figure this out? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll get to your question. You know why? Because Robinhood, they borrowed all this money from people that are like, you paying us back one way or the other. So it went from 70 to 7. Wouldn't it make sense to buy Robinhood stock? And I don't know if they have options you can buy against it, but wouldn't it make sense to buy the stock or the options? Buy options on Robinhood at $10 options. So if you buy it at 7, you spend $1 to buy it at 10, 6 to 12 months out. If it gets to 12, you got $2 plus the time that's left. Ta-da! Like Ice Cube said. I don't know. Is Ice Cube? We talk about Ice Cube. We still mad at him for trying to get equal justice from both sides.
Remember when I had Ice Cube pictures and stuff in my room, and
I remember
America's Most Wanted and all that? Can you answer this question here?
No. The answer is yes and no. So the Federal Reserve is basically something. It's a bunch of people that the United States owe money to. Period. Congress. Everybody's talking about, we're going after the Federal Reserve. No, they're not, because the Federal Reserve is a bank that loaned money to the U.S. to build and buy food for the slaves and do all the weird shit slavery was over by then, but, well, at least the physical slavery was. They loaned money to the U.S. So that money we can't invest with them. But what we can do is invest in the things that the Fed affects, like buying stocks or real estate. See, right now, I love it that real estate's crashing, going down. I hope interest rates go to 10%. I'm excited. I want interest rates to go to 20. Do you know why? Because that's going to scare everybody away, and that's going to bring the prices down for the people that came to play. I loved the pandemic when the stock market crashed and everything went to shit. That was one of the greatest financial moments of my life. Thank God for not that people died and missed me with the COVID deaths, because more people died from being a fat ass, smoking, cancer, heart disease than they will ever die of COVID. You know what I'm saying? I heard somebody talking about we want to ban something, but 300,000 people die from this disease, but we're not banning that. You understand what I'm saying? So the point I'm making is just no matter what happens, invest. You guys, we need the stock market to crash. We need real estate to crash. Think about this, right? Let's say I'm gonna buy this Louis bag. And I've been going on this shit talking about this Louis bag for a year. That's how I do it. I don't like to spend money on nice stuff. And now that they have a firm in the real, you can buy a Louis bag for half and pay for it over 24 months. I might do that. But the point I'm making is, if I'm gonna buy designer something, I do it when it's on sale. So you want to show me?
Order the Uber.
I do it. You got the paint already? I do it when it's on sale. You can order. Do it when it's on sale. That's my ching, my offer up cash sign.
So you answer this when it's on sale.
I only buy stuff if it's a good price. So don't you want real estate in this? Every morning I wake up and I hope the stock market is crashing. I want to wake up and Robinhood is $1. I want JP Morgan to go to $90 where it was, because JP Morgan and D invested in it. Remember, we all own. You own JP Morgan, right?
I might have.
You hope so. I gave everybody a list. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, all these companies to buy. JP Morgan was trading at $95. I remember, and that Monday after Joe Biden won, JP Morgan stock went boom, and it touched 140, 150, 160. Do you know where JP Morgan is now? At 106. It's back down to pandemic levels. I'm talking about JP Morgan Chase went from 160 to 106. What do you think JP Morgan is doing right now? They're buying their stock back. Do you understand what I'm saying? What up, the guy from Texas? They're buying their stock back. So when a company... let me finish this. When a company's buying back their stock, that means you should be buying it back too. You know what I'm saying? That other comment, I don't understand. Back to the profits that was made in 2020, referring to the stock market. Could you please? I don't understand the question.
Yeah, so I'm trying to understand it too, Mona. If you can fill it out just a little bit more.
I want to answer, but I don't understand the question, and I didn't graduate from college, so. Actually, I was there for 6 minutes. So here's something else you could do. You guys,
Can you answer this one?
The stock market crashed during the pandemic? Hell yes. March of 2020, stocks went boom. Not only did they crash, they tumbled. Like, see, here's the thing. Most people don't know that the stock market crashed in 2020. Do you remember March of 2020? Us sitting there picking stocks, and like my son was buying stocks. He got out early, but he made some money. He made some money, right?
No, I lost money.
Oh, because he left early. I told him, wait for Joe Biden to get office. It's going to crack after that.
And remember, before you go on, what happened with members of Congress? What did they do right before they announced that a pandemic was in effect?
They started selling.
They started selling, and they were supposed to be like, oh, there's some insider trading going on, and it's a conspiracy, and they took all their money out and then announced that it was a pandemic. And when they did that, yes, it did indeed crash, but they got their money out before it did.
When did you invest in it? I invested soon as we got the pandemic and the market started to slide. I started putting my money in E-Trade, moving it over. And then what I started doing is I remember every day, if you go back to I deleted all my Facebook posts for like borderline advice. Remember the day I was doing it? What am I doing with the $100? I was investing $100 a day in the market. So I was doing this thing. What are you doing with the $100 today? So I bought every day. I invest every day. I bought something. Every day I bought something. So we were getting all this stimulus money. I wasn't traveling. We weren't going out to eat. We were home. So I was investing, buying. So what you can do right now is, since we're in the same situation, is start buying little by little. You guys, you don't have to eat out at these fancy restaurants all the time. You don't need the new car. Matter of fact, if you're getting ready to buy a new car, MRO, we own that. I remember me and D own that. Remember MRO in Apache? Thank God for Apache. I told everybody buy MRO, buy Apache. Those now the oil companies are up, so good luck with those. If I was going to get oil, I would probably short oil and pray that Russia knocks it off. Or if China goes after Taiwan, then oil prices are going to be $200. Then gas is going to be $75 a gallon, right? Amazon, $4,000 stock goes down to $2,000. And then does a stock split 20-1. You see what I'm saying? So Amazon used to be they're down half price. What do you think Amazon is doing right now? See, Amazon, they're being nice by not crushing the competition. You know what they're doing now? They're like, F it. We're gonna go after everybody. And now Walmart, which is another company I am looking to buy, because Walmart has the money to fight Amazon. No one else has the money like Walmart. So Walmart goes, we have all these poor people and all these people in Walmart. You see them currently at Walmart. Somebody got their booty cheeks hanging out. We are going to go after the number one consumers in the world, and that is poor to, and I'm talking about social economically, poor to lower middle class people. They don't want to invest. So, like Bugs Bunny said, if you can't beat them, join them. We're going to help them consume instead of prosume.
So let me try to, and Mona, forgive us for not understanding the question. I just think maybe it's a little bit more information, or maybe it was something we said a little while ago. We just understand. So we say, since 2022, what profit has been made so far? You never understand my question. So are you saying personally, how much profit he's made this year so far? Is that where you're going with it? Or is this more of a broader question? So again, forgive me for not understanding the question.
So, yeah, you guys, this is easy right now.
Here's a question for you.
No, getting in the market, but get set. See, when you buy investment real estate, you buy it because it works for you right now. If I buy a piece of property at 300,000 and it's making me money at 300, if the price drops to 200, but I'm still making money on the property, that doesn't matter as much. See what I'm saying? You buy investment real estate because it's paying you and it makes sense at the moment. You don't buy a fourplex for appreciation. That's not what I'm doing. So yes, now is a good time to buy, but you buy real estate like you do stocks. You keep buying. When real estate goes down, you keep buying. And then when real estate goes back up, the stuff that you bought here is all up here. And now it's all worth more. That's how you get rich in real estate. Do you really think that you can time? I'm talking about you as a people can time the market. No, you can't time the market. No one, even you guys think about this. Some of the richest, biggest banks in Wall Street are watching the Fed decision today. And now they're going to the July Fed decision. They don't even know. And if they did, they're not going to tell us. They're not going to tell us. Why would they? There's some people that want black people gone. I get it. They're out there. And I'm saying they, like I'm turning to everybody else, like they are coming. Here come the jumpy man. They out to get us. They don't have the power, whoever they are, to stop us. There's nothing stopping me from getting on an airplane and flying out to Houston except those high-ass ticket prices, right? There's nothing stopping me from starting a business. We started selling bidets. We ordered some from China and we're selling them. We're calling it the Joe Bidet, right? Why would you? Anyways, long story. The bidets, the candles, we're like selling everything. The water bottles, like this thing right here is $2 on Alibaba, $4. What did you pay for this?
It's like $40.
Okay, he paid $40. This is the four. If you go take Yeti off, this is $4 on Alibaba. So what if me and my whole family said, okay, we're gonna get 100 of these, and our job is to sell these this week. What's 100 times 40? $4,000. So like Kanye said, all of y'all, like me, my son, my assistant, Evan, the four of us say our job is to sell 100 of these bottles at $40 each, online, in the parking lot. I don't care. That is $4,000. Can the four of us live on $4,000 after expenses? Hell yes. The problem is people are too damn scared.
Can you answer this question?
If a depression hits, if we can't invest in the market? Heck yeah. What do you think Warren Buffett does? You go shopping when prices are low. Who goes shopping because, oh my God, hey, prices are high. Let's go buy some stuff. No. You go to the store when they have a sale, you guys. Real estate and stock market is this mug. He paid $40 for it because Miles got it like that. I ain't gonna pay $40 for no water bottle. I struggle to pay $20. But you can go to Alibaba. I dare you, go to Ali West and look up this bottle. It's $4. Do you understand what I'm saying? I just told you what to do. Here's the crazy part, you guys. You can go to some of these companies like Yeti or Gatorade, or there's this collagen company that sells peptide collagen. You can go to their website. You can open an account as a wholesaler, and they will ship to Amazon for you. They will ship. Somebody orders, they will ship to Amazon for you. They buy it from Amazon, and you guys split the money. How much money did you come out of pocket with?
This kind of came to my mind, and Thunder, I'm gonna get you a question. I'm gonna actually put it up because we got a couple more minutes. So in business, there's a thing called forecasting, right? And I might be kind of using this term backwards or wrong right here, but and it's predicted that we will be in a recession, and some people say that we already are in a recession, and God knows we may end up in a depression. Well, you have to kind of, look into the future and say, because during the Great Depression, that's when the most millionaires were created, after the Great Depression, because people were like, well, I got to tap into my own ingenuity and figure out how to make money. These jobs are gone and things like that. And so what I'm trying to say is we have to look into the future and say, okay, well, what are people going to need if this thing shuts down? And will I be able to supply that service or product? Doesn't have to be anything grand. It might be something like you make bread or something. You know what I mean? And you're able to sell it to people for whatever it is. I don't know. You maybe have an apple tree or something. You know, what is it that you can do that people are still going to need if this thing crashes? And maybe not if, but when, right?
Okay. Tay, I'm going to read your comment. We are still focused on real
I'm
estate.
sorry.
No, go back.
Okay.
I'm gonna address this, and I'm gonna do this in my own way. So we're still focused on real estate stocks and selling goods, which is outdated. You guys, cut the shit. I just spent 2 hours telling you to do exactly this. I am doing it. I'm not punching the fucking clock. I'm not gonna go punch some clock tonight. I'm making money in my own house doing what I just told you to do. D, my sister made money doing it. I'm telling you to do what the people with the money are doing. If it's outdated, then what do we do? You want to wait for black people to build this fantasy community and one day for us to sing Kumbaya in the cornfields? Like, cut the shit. Black people, we have all this fucking money and resources coming through us. And what do? Steve Stoute said, the tanning of America. We create the moves and we make it hot, and then we don't even cash in on it. Buy something and sell it. Buy this lighter for the dime and sell it for $2 like they do at 7-Eleven. Every time if I need a lighter, and I hate buying a lighter from the store because it's $1 and I know it's 5 cents on Alibaba. And it burns my ass to buy a lighter from the liquor store. Sometimes you gotta smoke. You know what I'm saying? But like, I know he got his stuff from China, but yet I was in a bind. I know every time I go into his liquor store, I go in there to get water or whatever it is. He is smiling from ear to ear. How you doing? I know he's like, you dumbasses. You see the Mercedes? Got a Mercedes parked in the back. Like, how many clues do you need? God dang. Buy low, sell high. Prosume, not consume. Make your own stuff. You guys, I made this candle that has been burning for 2 hours. I made this candle myself. Do you understand? I can go to Alibaba, which is what we were doing last night with Fiverr and them. The Filipinos in the Philippines is getting them to make a logo for us for $30 and order the candle. Like, boom. Like, yo, you could do this. I paid $20 for this candle and a candle like this in Target and Bed Bath & Beyond. Never again are they getting I was in Walmart, in Target yesterday, and the candles smell. I love candles, but I walked by and it caught me like, oh, I was like, oh, no. Brother, you own a candle company. Next time you and Target have a conversation about candles, it will be to carry lit, period. That is how we're going to make money. Black people, we're not going to form some, what is that? Black Panther.
Wakanda.
There's no Wakanda coming. What we can do is buy, sell. We can buy in the stock market, buy low. Right now, you guys, we're not going to get this opportunity again for a long time. If you don't buy stocks, Netflix, whatever it is, pick your ones while they're low. In 5 years, you're going to be like, damn, I blew it. That's it. So, you guys, if you are not saving 10, 15% of your money, you're doing it to yourself.
Let me answer this question.
You satisfied?
Mm-hmm. Let me answer this question. Sunlight, how you doing, my dear? You say, am I talking about bartering? Well, I mean, some of that too. Of course, there'll be cash around, right? But we need to be thinking about things that we can do. If you have a catering service, of course, people are always going to buy food. People are always going to eat. So that's a good way. And my sister-in-law, she is Panamanian. And she says in Panama, we don't have social services. If somebody loses their job, she says, you make some plates and you go knock, door to door and see, who's hungry, who wants to buy. And she says, so we have to figure out how to survive. And so that's what we have to be, looking to the future of. How can I, for one, be of service and make money when this thing goes down? Because, during the Great Depression, they had a lot of soup lines and things like that. And oftentimes, probably all the times, they ran out of food. and people, you know, they were stuck. And of course, they didn't have any money there either. But, you know, at the end of the day, people are always going to eat and need basic services. So that's kind of where I was going. And of course, yeah, you know, bartering as well, because we know we don't live in a day and age where these electric companies and gas companies and water companies are going to be like, well, you know what, let's barter. We can do that amongst ourselves, but we still need some sort of form of cash to be able to do that. And I'm going to answer some of these questions the best way I can. Let's see. Michael Anthony, how you doing? He says the U.S. isn't in a recession yet, but with high oil prices and the Russia war can put the U.S. in a recession. Yes. And, you know, the Feds, they don't seem very optimistic about what's going on here. They're saying it's going to take probably another 2 or 3 years for this thing to correct and come back to 2% inflation rate or below. So they're not very optimistic about it. So I think a recession is coming, and, you know, hopefully not a depression. We get into a depression, it's a wrap for everybody. You guys remember during 1929 where they had a lot of people jumping out of the windows there at the stock exchange because they lost millions of dollars. And so Tay, you say, Tyler Perry did it. I used to go to his plays. So you're basically saying he built himself from the ground up, sleeping in his cars and all that. And he is now a billionaire. And media is evil. How you doing? So 75% of professional traders do worse than the S&P every day. People with advanced degrees who follow the market all day, thinking you can call a bottom in the market is foolish. Yeah, I'm not really for sure about any of that, but I'll take your word for it. I'm gonna try to say your name, Roush, and I know I said that wrong, but how you doing? He says I made $1,000 in stocks on stocks in 2 days, and it's doable because a lot of people do, I guess, what they call puts. We are in a bear market, so people are making money. You just got to know how to do it. And Michael, you also say Google the 1973 and 1975 recession, which was because of high oil prices and the Vietnam War, and the only difference is the Russia war this time. Absolutely, and that war hasn't even really kicked off just yet. Of course, it's, you know, in Ukraine, but who's to say that it won't, you know, spread, right? So it's kind of hard to say. And you also say Fed Powell made a statement saying that he doesn't care about a recession. Well, of course, he doesn't, for a whole host of reasons. I'm sure he's got a lot of money in his pocket. And James, you says, looks like a recession is coming for sure. I am going to buy up stocks and buy the truckload. Yeah, you're supposed to buy when they're cheap and then sell when they are high, right? You make a profit off of it. So anyway, Walter, what say you before we get out of here?
Well, I told you what to do. I mean, this is just a start. You know, we can talk about this through the weeks. It's just start buying stuff. Buy something. Buy something that that's going to be more valuable later. You guys, you can start a Shopify. It's $29 a month. There's nothing stopping you. All the things you buy in your house, you can get. Even if you went from spending money on stuff that you normally buy to making it or buying it yourself at wholesale, think how much money you would save if you just started doing that. And then you sell to other people. You guys, Black people, we are good at selling things to each other, creating things out of thin air. We are the masters of creation. We just can do that now. And we just keep doing it. Like, if you can't start a side hustle in 2022, I don't know who you are. Everybody can start one.
And the agitator, how you doing? He says, Sister Demetri K, did you say we can look up a website called Forecast to check some things out? No, I said it's a business term, forecasting, where you can kind of, well, like I said, I'm probably using it a little bit skewed, but as I was saying, kind of predict what people will need if this thing goes south, and not if, when, right? When the bottom falls out of this, how are we going to be able to sustain ourselves? If, you know, and not if, because a lot of jobs are laying off, and jobs you wouldn't even think would be laying off, right? Like your Teslas and your real estate companies, and, you know, what was it? Coinbase, which is a cryptocurrency website. So think about things that people will need and how you can make money. It doesn't have to be anything hard. It can be something simple, right? My mom used to always say, do what you love and the money will come, or figure out, you know, how to help people and then the money will come as well. So just try to figure out what people will need and how you can supply it. And, you'll make some money, enough to stay afloat, right? And Brother Samuel, how you doing? You says, yes, yeah, barter. I remember back in the day borrowing sugar or something from a neighbor, and they were doing the same from us. I remember when we harvested from our garden, giving some away. We knew how to make and grow and store our own food. Yeah, so gonna have to do some of that as well.
You guys, here's what. First of all, start buying food. I have 3 months. This weekend, I'll have a year worth of food in my garage. I don't eat canned tunas, but if the shit hits the fan, I was watching this podcast of this like rich group, and you know what they're all doing right now? They're all buying food. Guy goes, I have a year's worth of food for me and my family. China is hoarding grain. They have 6% of the world's grain. Ukraine made up a large portion of the world's grain. Do you think we are getting grain from Ukraine right now? No. And China has 60% of it. First of all, you shouldn't be eating grain and sugars in the first place. Another podcast. But start stocking up on food. I'm telling you guys, it sounds funny like, oh yeah, one day we're going to be out of food. It's happening. For those of you that bought baby formula, what was that like? Trying to get formula. Imagine when there's tomatoes and apples and tuna and food, and it will be. It's Joe Biden has zero control over what's going on, and they don't respect this dude. Buy your food, stock it, and you can buy those perishables and stuff you wouldn't normally eat. Like I don't eat noodles in a can or jar of a package, but man, if the food thing hits, I'm gonna be top ramen to the left, to the right with salt and pepper. I'm gonna
have your prison spread.
You're
gonna have your prison spread.
I mean, man, and I'm gonna hide it. Invite my kids, my family over. Be like, okay, y'all didn't listen to me, so I bought it. Do that, and you do the same thing with your cash. You guys, I swear to God, if you're out buying stuff right now, luxury goods, and you are not saving 10, 15% of your money, you deserve what is going to happen to you. Businesses, you guys, the Great Depression is when people get rich. If you go back through history and you look at some of these people that have made money, and yes, it's on Google Price. If you go back, a lot of these people made money during the Depression, the Recession. The pandemic took me and my son, and we were like doing okay to like just, it gave us life. The pandemic saved our business. My God, thank God for the pandemic. I cannot wait for the depression, the recession. I'm excited about it because I know what to do. And you guys, when we have a recession, doesn't mean everybody loses their job. Maybe 10, 15% of the people are unemployed. What about the other 85%? They're still spending money. So we will sell and do business with the 85%. If we have a recession, just means some of us are doing without. Most of us are still going to be working. Does that make sense? So stop being freaked out by the recession.
Yeah,
you want recession sometimes. You need it. Some of you guys are far behind the curve. The recession gives you a chance to get back in the game. It's kind of like you ever been left by your homie. He's like, all right, man, we're going to swing back around one more time and get you. Or you missed the bus and then, you catch that other bus. You know what I'm talking about. This right now, our homeboys come back around to pick us up. Get in the car. Can you freeze eggs? I don't know.
She says, did you know you can freeze eggs 3 months, best 6 months edible?
Can you really? Oh, well, shit, I'm buying eggs. I don't eat eggs and dairy, but I don't mind having eggs around. You can buy one of those big giant freezers from Costco and you can put food in there. Like, I'm not a meat eater, but if it came to it, I would tear pork chop up. I mean, the pork would be the last thing I ate for all kinds of reasons. But, and I don't remember 73, 75, I was 4 and 6, right? So I don't know what my parents weren't doing it. My parents are good people, but they were caught up, and I use the word loosely, in the movement because we were fighting for our rights then. But I do remember my parents as I got older we lived in South Central LA, but my father owned a business. My mom was, we did okay, right? I just wish I could go back in time and go, hey, Pops, boom, what's the stock market? Or what's investing? Or you own a mechanic shop. And I said this to my father too, and his friends just kind of laughed. Like, we should do a chain of your auto service. I was like, a kid, we should have a chain of these. And, it wasn't him, because my father's not the type of dude to laugh at an idea. But some of the other people kind of laughed about having a chain of your auto service. Can you imagine if I could go back in time and say, hey, Pops, we're going to open 12 of these. People love you. They love coming to you. What if we could open 10, 12 of these? Because you know what people always going to do? Work on their cars. And during the recession, what do they do more? Keep their old cars and repair them. So you know who else are good stocks? The auto repair stocks, the AutoZones, and the O'Reillys and stuff like that. Because when things get tough, what do people do? They keep their stuff and they fix it up. You see what I'm saying? There's some more tips. You guys, tomorrow, wake up, watch CNBC. Every day, give CNBC an hour. When you wake up in the morning, you're brushing teeth, doing your hair, watch CNBC. No more Housewives, no more Power, Monique and DL. Both of them are rich. I promise you, if Monique never got another job, her and Daddy are going to be straight, and DL Hughley is going to be straight. And it wouldn't even surprise me if the two of them did a show together. Like, I think Chris Rock and Will Smith are going to do a movie together. Just watch. Y'all need to wake up. Stop with the diversion stuff. And the food banks are stocking up right now. They're not giving out food the way they used to. They're like, hold up. We need to take care of our own people. Go to tuna is 99 cents. Well, now it's $1.50 thanks to everything that's going on. You can buy 100 cans of tuna for $150. How long will 100 cans of tuna last your household? Yeah, you're going to get mercury poison. Miss me with that shit.
Oh, damn.
What about the mercury? What about starvation? Ain't nobody ever died from eating too much tuna.
Well,
so there it is.
All right, y'all.
There's a show.
Well, we thank you and we love and appreciate you, Walter, for your advice and wisdom and your comedic input here. And we love and appreciate you all as well on YouTube and Facebook for being the third co-host. We will be back here.
Show us appreciation down here at Venmo, Cash App. We love change, but we appreciate the stuff that folds.
That to you guys. So yes, indeed, if you guys want to donate to the channel, we love and appreciate you for that. And those of you guys who donate already, thank you so much. And to my members, I love and appreciate you guys for being a member of this channel. And for those of you guys who want to, but you cannot, I understand your participation and your likes and all of that. That also helps. So you guys, we're going to get out here, allow Walter to go back to his hustles and all of that. And for me, I'm going to call it a day because I have been up since 5 o'clock this morning working and all that other stuff in between. So we will see you guys, Donovan and I, on Sunday. I don't know what we'll talk about, but I'm sure it'll be something interesting. So you guys do have a, hey, Ollie, how you doing? So you guys have a safe evening and, enjoy yourself. Peace.